From Spamtown, USA, Austin, Minnesota, this is the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. We break down the big hits, the spectacular saves, and the clutch goals with the men behind the bench. Get the inside scoop with exclusive insight, strategy, and stories from your Austin Bruins coaches. And now, here's your host, David Coyer, alongside Bruins head coach Steve Howard.
The Austin Bruins are back in the Robertson Cup Playoffs after a win on Saturday against the Aberdeen Wings. The team punched their ticket and will be back playing for a championship this season. And here to break down everything and look ahead to what is leading up to this playoff season, it's our head coach, Steve Howard, here on the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. Coach, welcome back to the show, and congratulations on making the playoffs once again.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Before we dive into all that, one thing that has gotten a little bit of buzz on social media this week, we announced the brand new black ice jerseys, all black socks, all black jerseys. They look pretty sweet. What are your thoughts on those jerseys?
Oh, I love them. I mean, there's quite a few teams that have been doing the blacked out theme, but, I know Brian Scholes, our president of business ops, loves designing jerseys, and he's been talking about doing one of these for a while, and really excited to actually get one done. And Saturday night, it's going to be Black Ice Night, so it's going to be pretty cool here at Riverside Arena.
Yeah, they looked really cool, and I'm excited to see what they look like officially out on the ice. But as we mentioned, the team is back in the playoffs after clinching a spot this Saturday. But you're emphasizing to the team that the job is not finished. I mean, there's still 10 games to go in the season, and the playoff picture is not set yet. Seeding is not set yet. What do you need to do, or what does this team need to do to make sure that it's playing its best hockey heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, well, first off, you can't I call it exhaling and relaxing, or, letting your shoulders drop once you've accomplished something. Too many people like to sit back and enjoy, reaching a goal or doing something in life that feels good, and you want to sit back and take that moment to relax. This isn't a sport where you relax. It's not time for celebrations yet. I really don't like when, there's a lot of sports now where guys celebrate things that aren't, I'll just say like things like in football when you're celebrating your first down, but you're down by 3 touchdowns and it's the fourth quarter. I don't understand that. I just feel like, all right, great. You made the playoffs. You clinched that spot. You're supposed to. Mm-hmm. So, hey, that's step one. Great. Step two is let's secure a home ice advantage. That's our next goal. But that's just the next step. That's like we don't hang out there. We don't wait there. We don't, relish in it. We're gonna keep going forward, and I think that's what most of the coaches are saying to their players. And it's today's world. I think the over celebrations on goals, the way kids we watch it on TV and we think it's the time when hey, we need to praise everything, and it's like, hey, you did a good job, but at the same time, like let's keep the foot on the gas here. And I think going forward, you gotta have all the aspects of a championship team. You need a hot goalie. You need your defense to be playing very well defensively, as well as the forwards. But most importantly, you got to have your special teams clicking both ways, and you got to be built for the playoffs. You got to be ready to grind, because if you're just a skilled team. I grew up watching the Red Wings, and I saw 2 errors. In the 90s, we had a lot of grit with the McCartys, the Shanahans, and guys like that were just, they played hard. They finished their checks. It was hard to play against. Plus, they could score. And then, we had the era of all skill. And, the Red Wings put up the best record in the league a couple of years there, and they didn't do well in playoffs because they weren't built for the playoffs. And I want our guys to know, like, it's going to be a battle. The games aren't just blowouts. They're 2-1 games, and it's about doing some of the little things right. It might be about eating a puck, in the final minute there that could have went into an open net. It might mean, you're just doing some of the things that maybe are uncharacteristic of yourself because it's a sacrifice for the team. And that's what it's all about. That's really what it's all about. The guys have to come together and at the right moment. And we've been preaching it lately. I mean, there's still 10 games left. By no means is it like you got to go on the next 20 some games and win them all. But at the same time, like it's you want to start getting into your groove right now. That's for sure.
And to try and clinch that home ice advantage, Bruins are tied for first in the Central Division with the Bismarck Bobcats, so it all could really come down to that series here at Riverside Arena in April. But you and I have talked before on the show about how year to year it's a new team, it's a new division, it's a new league. Rosters change from year to year here in junior hockey, but the Bruins organization has made it to the playoffs now 5 straight seasons. What does that talk about the consistency and the culture that you've helped build here in Austin?
I mean, obviously it's about having the right group, the right players, and the message we send and the habits we create, because that's what really it comes down to is if your team has good habits each year after year, and you can be consistent that way, and I think having a little consistency with our staff now, like having Al back here for his 3rd year. That helps. He knows what we like. Having Robbie come back for a 2nd year has been helpful. But the guys before that, Justin Fisher, Hamper Shodall, like those guys all did a great job too. And it's just buy-in. I really like the fact that we had the right guys come back each year that help pass the baton on to the next group. And it's that's the culture when you got a leadership group that knows what it takes and what it means to put on a Bruins jersey. I think that's what culture is all about. That's the definition in my eyes, and I thought our leadership group this year has done a great job.
And one guy who doesn't have a letter on his chest but is a part of the leadership group, and you talked about him and he's been very consistent these last 2 years. EJ Paddington, a 4-goal performance against the Wings this weekend. I joked with him he's allergic to scoring after the first period. But second star of the week this week. But, I mean, you look at his accolades. Recently played in his 100th game here in Austin, over 100 points in his time here in Austin, and actually became one of just 5 players in team history to score 30 goals in a season. He's second only to Alex Lorenza with 33 goals this season. He's up there in career numbers as well, a few goals away from breaking Walter Zacker's all-time career goals record. So many accolades. I could talk about EJ Paddington for 5 minutes, but what has he meant to this team both on and off the ice over these last 2 seasons?
Yeah, so I'll tell you right now, an honest story of my own is when we first I wouldn't say first got EJ, but last year having EJ, a question in my mind was, is he a beneficiary of playing with Lorenza and Malkasian? Just having the fact that, I like to have a big power forward type on each line, really, and he was kind of the guy we just kind of threw in there during camp, and they had some instant chemistry, and I didn't know if it was just because they had chemistry. But getting to know EJ and seeing the parts of his game, he had some hockey sense and he could score too. Like he scores the goals where most guys don't. He can find a hole in a goalie's, underneath his arm or through his pad or through his leg. He has a knack for finding that goal scoring touch around the net. And that tied in with this season is probably the biggest answer you could find because, we don't have Lorenza and Malkasian back. He's not playing with the Twins, but he's scoring more. And, he's playing with Lipset and Coleman now, but he's played with a bunch of different guys this year. Like he truly is a ball player. And when I say that, like we're calling colleges every day. Like, I can't believe you're missing out on this guy, and my biggest argument with that is some guys have, I think some coaches want to see like an NHL stride out of a guy or this and that. And it's no secret that's one of the things he's always worked on or has been working on. Last year he hired a skating coach and I mean we were watching videos of him carrying trees up hills and stuff. Like the guy works hard, And the fact that he's got a skating coach, we did some skating stuff here last year because I don't think he's ever done edge work, and that was one of the things I liked to do back when I played. So I ran him through some drills. He's getting better. It's just, little things. Like everybody's got a little bit of not everybody, but a lot of guys have a hitch in their skating. One little thing or tweak here, tweak there. Maybe they bend more at the hips, which is what EJ does, rather than at the knees. But the kid gets from point A to point B just fine. I wouldn't be worried that he's playing against a fast line or anything like that. Not to mention he goes through guys. And so having said that, he's from Thunder Bay, Ontario, the way they play up there, they're for you Minnesota people, they're kind of like the Grand Rapids, they're known for being physical, and EJ's physical. And the fact that he has 33 goals in 48 games, and the fact that he did it last year, that's my biggest takeaway from EJ Paddington is the kid can play. And if you're just worried about, the way he looks when he's skating, then you know what, he's probably not your cup of tea. But I'm a Billy Bean type guy. I love Moneyball. That's my movie, and I always tell coaches, does he get on base? And that's what he does. Does he score goals? The kid does. And, we're working hard right now. We hope we get him something here soon.
And before I head into my next question, we're talking about he's one of 5 guys in team history who has scored over 30 goals in a season. I talked before the season during camp with Austin Solani, who's also one of those guys who had a 32-goal season. A couple years ago, Walter Zacher breaks C.J. Smith's long-standing single-season goals record, and he kind of joked with Solani, or Solani joked with him saying, I'm going to break it next year. Was not serious about it. He goes into the next season, he scores 32, so ties Walter's single-season record, and then Austin's just like, okay, maybe someone's going to do it next year. Alex Lorenzo goes and breaks it the next year. So now we've had, 3 straight seasons of breaking the record. EJ's a couple goals away from potentially breaking it for a 4th straight season. So I just think that's kind of funny being able to talk with Austin about that story. And now it's happening again this year. But aside from that, a lot of other records being broken. Simon Marshanock breaking the single-season assist record that Luke Mulcazian set last year. He's on the doorstep of potentially breaking the single-season points record. So many accolades from this season. Again, I can go on, and it hurts my brain sometimes having to keep track of all these. But as a coach, what does that mean to you to see how this team is built year in, year out? And I know you've always given praise to your hockey ops staff. What does it mean to you to see their ability to kind of find these right guys to piece together an Austin Bruins team every single year?
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that. And, Alex Lorenzo, Walter Zacher, Austin Solani, those guys all played here multiple years, and even Paddington, it's about getting to understand the system your first year and then having that second year where it's okay, this is where you score goals. Mm-hmm. And so, having that and a good power play, those are 2 things that I think our group has had, or our organization's had over the years. And, not to take away from our scouting staff, they do an awesome job. Aaron Vanaski's assistant GM, and Scotty Mixes is our director of player personnel and head scout. They get out there, they find guys. And, we've been fortunate to have a staff that we've had, and we want to keep it going, and we can't wait for the next crop to come in. But, I hope every year there's a kid that's flirting with breaking another record, and I don't think you're going to hear any of our hockey ops staff complain if we break the single-season goal record every year. But, it hats off to the players. They get to know what it takes here. They all have watched the guy ahead of them maybe play on the top power play, and they were on the second power play, or put out in the right situations. And, when they had their chance, they ran with it. So,
and looking back now to the Aberdeen series, 4 straight games against Aberdeen, 2 here at home, 2 in Aberdeen. And, heading into those 4 straight games, it was kind of emphasized that this is kind of a precursor to the playoffs. 5-game series in the playoffs. Aberdeen is a playoff team right now, or battling to be a playoff team. Coming away with an even split, 2-2, what are your biggest takeaways from what could be a matchup that we see in the Robertson Cup playoffs?
Yeah, you want to know what? Those are the games you want to be in that time of year. You want to play against those teams. You want to, you want to play against the best, and Aberdeen's always got a good team. Langer knows how to win in the playoffs. He gets his guys playing hard and this and that. Our big thing in going forward here is you got to be playoff ready, and you got to find ways to win hockey games. And we end up splitting both weekends with them, which was it was good and bad. You learned a little bit about yourselves, especially when you're losing those games. And it's no secret. Last Friday they had 3 power play goals in the first. Well, number one, discipline. Number two, you got to make the adjustments when they're trying to make the low plays and creating the 2-on-1s in front of the net. And we didn't make the adjustments as a coaching staff, and that's on myself. I probably should have said something or done something a little quicker, but at the same time, we were hoping to get through the first period without having 3 penalties. And once again, gets back to discipline and how we acted in during the game and whatnot. But at the same time, our guys. They knew how to respond, and I love to see the bounce back on both Saturdays. And more importantly, our guys have to understand it's not about there's highs and lows all the time. And I'm not a guy that I'm not a rah-rah guy. I don't like to tell the guys to go out there and chirp and get all caught up into that stuff. I kind of feel like that's actually a negative. Mm-hmm. And so I like to feed off the other team doing that. And, I thought, hey, our guys did a good job of keeping their mouths shut and playing the game. And, we're looking forward to the next challenge. And I told the guys, play the right way. We're not going to be the team that's going out there and over-celebrating, as I said earlier, or doing some of the things that, I think can bite you later on. I think you got to be the team that takes care of the karma side of things and plays the right way, does the right things, and more importantly, plays for each other more so than anybody else. It's stick together as a group and as a family and take care of each other, but at the same time keep each other in line. So.
This past weekend, we saw the return of Tucker Lovejoy from his high school season at East Grand Forks, and Carter McKay, Ryan Lund have been on the sidelines with some injuries, but they're close to coming back. What do those 3 bring to this lineup once they hopefully eventually get back into the lineup?
Yeah, obviously the injuries are, they're injuries. Is what do you do? It's just about getting the guys back into midseason form once they come back. But Tucker's in. He's in midseason form. He's just gone into his high school season, played playoffs, and it's a lot of understanding yourselves in these moments and the pressure. And we certainly know Tucker can handle the pressure after watching them win the state championship in 2025. Here we are this year, he's a kid that instantly steps in. He's got the confidence and plays with some poise that most high schoolers just don't have, and that's what's nice about having Tucker back. And then, Carter McKay's played junior hockey for 5 years. He's played in this league this will be his 3rd. So, and then you got Ryan Lund who's back for his 2nd year, and Lundy knows what it takes now, and it's just once again about getting those guys back into game shape, and we're excited to have them back in the lineup this weekend for sure.
10 games left, playoffs on the horizon. What excites you the most about the end of this regular season and the schedule the Bruins have heading into the playoffs?
I don't know that anything excites us the most. It's just this is the fun part of the year. It always is. I talked about it last year. I talk about it again this year. There's nothing like being in playoff hockey at the end of April, even getting into early May or mid-May, and it's 75, 80 degrees outside, and you're wearing shorts and flip-flops to the rink, and you're still in your regular season. There's a lot of guys that wear shorts and flip-flops to the rink, but they're usually going for summer hockey or a pickup game. And for our guys, it's about staying in winter mode, but at the same time enjoying that part. That means you've gone deep in the playoffs when you're in Minnesota and you're coming to the rink in shorts and flip-flops. That means you're doing the things right, and I think that's one of those awards that you look for each year. And the longer I got to wait to golf is the better. So, yeah.
I know you like your golf.
That's right.
This weekend, the Austin Bruins have a home-and-home with the Minnesota Mallards. Friday night up in Forest Lake. Puck drop is 7 p.m. You can catch all the action on NAHLTV.com over at the official road game destination of your Austin Bruins, Lansing Corners. This Saturday, 7:05 puck drop from Riverside Arena for Pie Day. You can head over to tickets.austinbruins.com. Buy one ticket, get one for $3.14 when you use the promo code PIE. That's P-I-E. Again, buy one ticket, get one for $3.14. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you, Coach, what your favorite flavor of pie is.
Rhubarb.
Rhubarb.
I love rhubarb pie.
That's fun. And funny enough, because I told you before the show I was going to ask you that, and I was trying to maybe just predict what you were going to say, and rhubarb definitely wasn't up there. That's not one you hear all the time.
No, yeah, you got to be from the Midwest to know that. My grandmother had a rhubarb plant in her yard, and she used to make rhubarb pie all the time. My dad loves it sour. I don't mind it sour, but I prefer a little mix of sweet and sour. So, there's two types of rhubarb, and you either get the sweet, sugary rhubarb, which, I don't like it all the way sweet, but at the same time, I like a little bit of sour mixed in there. But, yeah, everybody has their preference. There's strawberry rhubarb. There's a lot of different types of rhubarb, and, rhubarb pie is my thing.
You ever just take salt and salt the rhubarb and just eat it plain like that?
When I was a kid, I don't do that anymore. But yeah, it's one of those things where the only time I'm eating rhubarb now is if it's in rhubarb pie.
There you go. My mom had her own rhubarb plant growing up as well. So rhubarb pie, Steve Howard, who would have guessed? But the Bruins take action this Saturday from Riverside Arena for Pie Day. So again, get your tickets, buy one, get one for $3.14. Promo code PIE. Well, that wraps up another edition of the Austin Bruins Coaches Show. The fight for home ice advantage continues with the final 10 games of the regular season. But for head coach Steve Howard, I've been David Coyer. This has been another edition of Austin Bruins Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.